while you're down on the ground. You think of a person who goes through the most difficult training selection course in the United States military. Men and women who are the elite, the most elite of the elite. People answering the call for a job that nobody wants to do, but it needs to get done. People that we rely on to keep us safe. Answering the call when called to war, and going through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Chris Kyle is one of these people. Made famous through his book, and through film, and through a lot of great deeds that he has done. All the training, shooting, controversy, and unfortunate murder. And yet, even with all of that, an entire nation wept. Let's go over the good deeds. Chris Kyle was born April 8, 1974 in Odessa, Texas. Black oil, football, and cattle ranching, big in the economy there. He began hunting with a .30-06 at the age 12, deer, quail, pheasant, all sorts of game. His brother and him grew up working on a ranch, sometimes having up to 150 head of cattle. Eventually, Kyle would try to take up a career rodeo bull riding. However, due to an injury in his arms and legs, he had to give that up. He tried to attend university, learning range management, walked into a Marine recruiter's office, and was talked into becoming a Navy SEAL, where he attended Great Lakes, Illinois boot camp. He attended additional training as an intelligence specialist at NMITC Dam Neck, Virginia from April to July of '99. And in the year 2000, he would head to Coronado, San Diego for BUDS training Navy SEALs. Kyle would attend pre-doc indoctrination for BUDS for 2 weeks, and then phase 1 would begin physical conditioning. There's a BUD at the entrance, the Special Warfare Building. While they're going through this intense training and beatdown, selection choice, if you fail, you quit, you ring the bell and put your helmet by it and walk the walk to shame. Week 4 of this variation is Hell Week, where they'll do intense physical training for 5.5 days without sleep. After this phase is combat diving, where the candidates will learn dive physics, underwater skills, and combat scuba. Candidates will learn closed circuit, also open circuit, compressed air, basic dive medicine, and medical skills training provided. Phase 3 is land warfare, where they'll learn navigation, map and compass, where they'll also handle live ammunition and explosives and receive punishment from instructors the entire time. Once you graduate BUDS, you have to go to SEAL qualification training. You go to SEER school, survival, evasion, resistance, escape. Or advanced combat swimming. Learning close quarter battle, breaching, explosives, free fall, static line, skydiving, all things to prepare them for war when they're with their team. There's, of course, learning how to use different weapon systems and whatnot the unit uses. And after the 24 weeks of SQT, if they make it, finally they get their Trident pin, which we do know Chris did. After SQT, Chris had received his Trident. He's finally a Navy SEAL, assigned to SEAL Team 3, their sniper element, Platoon Charlie. Kyle had met his future wife, Taya Studebaker, in 2001. They both married in the year 2002. In 2003, Kyle would deploy to Iraq due to the campaign of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Kyle would have 4 combat deployments. He received multiple awards, and he would also go on to receive the reputation as one of the deadliest snipers in United States history. Men in his platoon would call him the Legend, and people on the opposite end in Iraq would call him the Devil of Ramadi. The invasion of Iraq by the United States initiated in 2003. Kyle, now a well-trained sniper for Navy SEAL Team 3, deployed. They were one of the first American groups on the ground. His mission and focus objective: his platoon provided rooftop security for Marines in the city of Nasiriyah. During this part of the conflict, this would be when Chris Kyle had used his .300 Winchester Magnum and had shot a woman who had pulled out a grenade, saving multiple Marines' lives in the process. It's the actions like these that saved many people's lives, and Kyle's actions were crucial in several of the battles, including at Alpha.
Hand of her toddler, and in the other hand she has a grenade. Was that the hardest of the kills you had to do?
I had to do it to protect the Marines, so... Do you want to lose your own guys, or would you rather take one of them out?
What's great about Navy Special Warfare, they have the budget to provide the firearm varieties that are accessible to their teams. Some of the more common firearms Chris Kyle used while he was deployed on combat. Kyle would use mostly the MK11 Mod X Special Purpose Rifle, or also known as the SR-25. Kyle would use this on account of he could use it to snipe as well as patrol with, rather than just the basic M4. MK11 was also chambered in 7.62-51 or 308. If you were to ask Kyle of all the weapon systems he preferred most, he would tell you straight up it was his .300 Winchester Mag. He constantly talked about how much he enjoyed how accurate it was. It was great anywhere from 100 to 700 yards, and that he preferred the bolt action when he was sniping. This is the Macmillan TAC 338 Lapua Magnum bolt action sniper rifle, which is the one he took to Iraq. Accurate up to 2,000 yards away. In 2004, Chris Kyle had returned to Iraq for his second combat deployment. He deployed at the Second Battle of Fallujah, or officially known as Operation Phantom Fury, where he continued to be support for the Marines, clearing the streets, doing sweeps. In 2006, on his third combat deployment, Kyle was deployed over to Ramadi. Ramadi had the most insurgents at that time, extremely dangerous place to be. So Kyle and SEAL Team 3 all deployed to Ramadi as Task Force Bruiser, under the command of Jocko Willink. On this deployment, SEAL Team 3 and Chris Kyle made the Punisher logo popular, put it on their plate carriers, vehicles, you name it. This deployment had the most confirmed kills so far in Kyle's career. The United States Navy SEAL Team 3 Task Unit Bruiser, also known as the Punishers, were the most decorated and deadly outfit in Iraq during the Battle of Ramadi in 2006. This legendary team had some of the most famous and elite Navy SEALs of all time. Chris Kyle, of course, Michael Mansour, Johnny Kim, and of course it was all led and overseen by Jocko Willink. From 2006, during the height of the Anbar Awakening, Task Unit Bruiser found itself at the epicenter of some of the most intense urban warfare United States forces have experienced since Vietnam. Their actions not only helped turn the tide of the conflict, but were also shaped the future of special operations warfare going forward. There has been no official kill count released by the United States on how many kills the Task Force Bruiser had. However, Jocko Willink has stated in several podcasts that Chris Kyle was reporting 3 to 4 kills a day. The United States Navy SEAL Team 3 Task Unit Bruiser, also known as the Punishers, were the most decorated and deadly outfit in Iraq during the Battle of Ramadi in 2006. This legendary team had some of the most famous and elite Navy SEALs of all time. Chris Kyle, of course, Michael Mansour, Johnny Kim, and of course it was all led and overseen by Jocko Willink. From 2006, during the height of the Anbar Awakening, Task Unit Bruiser found itself at the epicenter of some of the most intense urban warfare United States forces have experienced since Vietnam. Their actions not only helped turn the tide of the conflict, but were also shaped the future of special operations warfare going forward. There has been no official kill count released by the United States on how many kills the Task Force Bruiser had. However, Jocko Willink has stated in several podcasts that Chris Kyle was reporting 3 to 4 kills a day. Kyle's fourth and final deployment would be to Sadr City in Iraq. This battle began March of 2008 when the Jaish al-Mahdi overran the government posts in the local area. This battle was a huge turning point for the newly formed Iraqi government. There was a major wall blockade set up to contain the insurgents by the Iraqi military as well as the United States military at the time. This combat deployment, Kyle would cover for the Marines on the rooftops as he has the other 3 deployments, as well as this one would be where he would actually go down and do door breaching, door-to-door sweeps with the Marines, which earned him the nickname Legend. Kyle has also stated that during this deployment, he was actually shot one time in the head, luckily it hit his helmet, and one time in his plate carrier. Kyle had stated that the round went through his body armor and barely pierced it enough to leave a scratch on his skin. After 10 years of service, Kyle left the military to be with his family. He was honorably discharged in 2009 and received 1 Silver Star and 4 Bronze Star medals with Valor devices. In his best-selling autobiographical book, Kyle actually claimed he was awarded 2 Silver Stars and 5 Bronze Stars. Those numbers differed slightly from the Navy personnel form given to Kyle when he left the Navy in 2009. Another discrepancy in Kyle's autobiography was the fact that he was in a bar fight with Jesse Ventura. This never happened, and his estate was actually sued later on after Kyle's death for character defamation of Ventura. Another one, Kyle was stating he was on top of a stadium shooting looters during Hurricane Katrina, as well as being into an altercation with 3 men at a gas station in a country rural area, shooting all of them and having charges dismissed because the sheriff knew who he was and he was a good old boy and liked him.
Has in one hand the hand of her toddler, and in the other hand she has a grenade. Was that the hardest of the kills you had to do?
I had to do it to protect the Marines, so. Do you want to lose your own guys, or would you rather take one of them out? 2 different people. You can turn it on and turn it off. You're a little more aggressive when you're at work, and then when you come home, you relax and try to be the different person.
Kyle's book, American Sniper, became a bestseller, and screenwriter Jason Hall loved the book so much, he pitched the idea and he wanted to do a movie. James Hall had actually met Kyle in person because he said he wanted to do it the right way. Bradley Cooper was on board to play Kyle and spoke with him frequently on the phone. However, they never met due to Kyle's murder, February of 2013. After his discharge in 2009, Kyle paired up with multiple nonprofits to help veterans with PTSD, as well as take veterans to the shooting range to help them out, hang out with other vets. On February 2nd, 2013, Chad Littlefield and Chris Kyle had taken former Marine Eddie Ruth to the shooting range, where he turned on them and shot them both with the .45 caliber pistol. Ruth had stated that he was affected by PTSD from being in the military. Eventually, law enforcement was able to catch up to him and take him into custody. While he was in law enforcement's custody, he admitted multiple times about the shootings and how they weren't talking to him, so he had to shoot them. And in court, his defense was trying to use that he wasn't competent to stand for trial. However, he was found fit to stand trial, was prosecuted, and was found guilty and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Chris Kyle's funeral procession was a 200-mile drive down the interstate as people stood on overpasses and on the side of the road, mourning for a lost hero. Taya Kyle had started the Frogman Foundation, assisting veterans with PTSD. Taya Kyle would go on to write her own autobiography of the complications of being a military wife. The film adaptation of Chris Kyle's book, American Sniper, would continue. Clint Eastwood would direct it, and Bradley Cooper would star as Chris Kyle in the film. In Texas, a portion of the highway was dedicated as a memorial to Chris Kyle. Regardless if he has the record for the most confirmed kills in the Navy, or he served 4 combat deployments, Chris Kyle did the job that nobody wanted to do, but needed to get done.